Hello students, today we will study Utopia by Thomas More. We will talk about the introduction of the novel, about the author, plot summary, the main ideas or themes of the novel. The first point is the introduction. Utopia is made up of two Latin words, U and topos. It means no place. There is another word, utopos. It means a good place. The title of the novel is very meaningful and relevant. Utopia means a place where each and everything is perfect. It means a place where the political system, government, social structure, economic policies, religious structure are all very perfect. They are designed for the equal and perfect welfare of all the people living there. About the author. Utopia was written in 1516 by Sir Thomas More. It is about Thomas More's ideal fictional society called Utopia. Sir Thomas More was born in 1478 in a well-to-do family. He was raised as a Catholic. He was an English lawyer, statesman, writer and saint. He was a total Catholic and he opposed Protestantism. There was Protestant Reformation going on during those days. He opposed the king and was arrested. And later on, the king ordered to behead him. It was an age of Renaissance. The English scholars, poets, dramatists, painters, and intellectuals of the European countries contributed greatly through their art and literary writings in this reformative changeover. In this era of Renaissance, the supremacy and influence of Catholic Church was rejected. The age-old orthodox traditions and customs were rejected. Neurological, humanitarian, sociological perceptions were giving way and were given importance. Thomas More was not the first person to think and write about a utopian society. Earlier also, many writers wrote their works based on the concept of an ideal society. Thomas More's vision of a perfect society was influenced by the travel literatures of the time. It was a time when new lands were explored. European people were traveling to far and away places and getting knowledge about other better lands like Eastern countries and India as well. Thomas More must have written Utopia for possibly two reasons. Number one, he wanted to improve and mend his society, and number two, he wanted to satirize his own society. Certainly, Utopia by Thomas More is a social satire. It was written in Latin. Till date, it remains to be the most translated work of English literature. Now, we will talk about the plot and summary of the novel. Utopia is made up of two parts, Book 1 and Book 2. Book 2 was written first in 1515, a year before Book 1. It contains an elaborate description of the utopians. Book 1 discusses several general political questions, including whether philosophers should advise princes, which is also an important theme of the book. There are 5 main characters in the novel. Number 1, Thomas More. The writer himself is a character in the novel. He is a bit different from the actual writer of the novel, who talks and have discussions with the other characters of the novel about an ideal society. Number 2, Peter Giles. He is a real life character in the novel and who is Sir More's friend in the novel. Number 3, Raphael Hathlode. He is a fictional character who is a traveler, who is proposing or describing the theories of ideal society, who has been to different countries on different tours and is telling about the societies in other countries which are better than the society in England. Number 4 is John Morton, Archbishop of Canterbury. He is also a real life character. He hosts a dinner at his place for all these people, More, Peter Giles and Hathlode in the novel. And number 5 is another important character of the novel, General Utopus. He is also a fictional character. He is the founder of Utopia Island. The writer uses different methods to present Utopia as an actual place on earth. The book contains poems in utopian languages, letters, maps, etc. to elaborate the ideas. The book 1 contains Hathlode's elaboration of different lands he has visited, their customs, socio-political and economic structures, their judiciary system, etc. The common thing is the rule of death penalty for petty crimes like theft. The book also talks about the slavery systems, the monopoly of land by rich classes, the poor conditions of the commoners prevalent in those days in England. Book 2 describes Sir Thomas More's fictional state in detail. There is an ideal state called Utopia. General Utopus is the ruler cum administrator. The utopians live a regulated, standardized life. All the cities are beautiful and identical in utopian state. All citizens wear identical simple clothes with some modifications for gender. They live together in families of specific size and work 6 hours a day. They spend their leisure time reading and attending lectures. Women may marry at the age of 18, men at 22. Adultery is strongly condemned and can result in slavery or even execution. In extreme circumstances of recurrent adultery or perversion, however, divorce is permitted Even in those days, it was permitted. Utopia is a state founded on compassion and altruism. No one wants for material goods. Nobody can keep any private property or money. Healthcare is universal. Though few get sick, society gently encourages euthanasia when a mortally ill person suffers from great pain. So they were very wise. All property is owned communally. Every 10 years, a family exchanges its house. So you cannot possess anything. There is no rule for possession, which is supposed to encourage people to take proper care for the next tenant. So you have to take care of the society, for your fellow societal persons. Even their eating takes place in a large hall that holds as many as 30 households. Ultimately, authoritarianism is a strong feature of this model state. No one has the freedom to remain idle. Everyone needs permission to travel. The fourth point is the main ideas or themes of the novel. There are many underlying themes in the novel. Thomas More was very pained by the then judicial and socio-political and economic state of the people of his country. So through this novel, he had proposed the ideas to be implemented in his society. The first important theme of the novel is ideal society versus corrupt society. It is the underlying theme of Utopia. The writer has compared the utopian society with corrupt European society of that time. Utopia has no money or private property. So there is no greed, power struggle, corruption or vanity. European society, on the other hand, has all these evils. And so the people are poor and miserable in that land. There is no happiness and peace of mind in European society. So Thomas More wanted all these things in his society. The second important theme of the novel is the search for justice. In European society, thieves were punished with death penalty. And it was a great punishment for such petty crimes. It was no justice for such petty things. The rich and the powerful followed their minds, whereas the lower classes had to remain bounded by the restraints imposed on them. In utopian society, the absence of money and property minimizes crime and ensures fair and equal treatment of everyone. The laws are less or few and understandable by everyone. Search for happiness is another theme of Utopia. Life was so miserable for commoners in those times that in that era of Renaissance, all the intellectuals, writers, and philosophers searched for happiness. They wanted to change the basic idea of life and happiness in their society. So happiness is of primary importance to the utopians. They think pleasure is at the root of happiness. God has planted appetites in man for good and healthy things. So Catholic ideals and principles were being rejected. People wanted to protest. So whereas in European culture, the importance of suffering was emphasized for spiritual redemption. So these intellectuals were searching for happiness through different modes and writings and philosophical discussions. Another important theme of the book is idealism versus political engagement. In book 1, More, Giles and Hithlaude have a continuous debate as to whether an educated ideal person should advise a corrupt government head or official. Hithlaude refuses to do so, whereas Giles and More think ideally. And they think it better to advise such corrupt government officials for constructive reasons and for the welfare of the society, even if it had some risks to their lives. This debate may have reflected an internal struggle in Thomas More's mind when he wrote Utopia. He acted accordingly, and his ideals were in conflict with King Henry VIII and his administration. As a result, he resigned his office in 1532. He was accused of treason and beheaded in 1535. Conclusion. Thus, Utopia is most perfect embodiment of humanist rational ideas. It has several underlying ideas and ideals which the reformative intellectuals and humanists of the time wanted to bring in practice in the European society. It is a very light and humorous, in a very light and humorous way, Sir Thomas More has presented deep and insightful ideas in the novel. I hope you all have an idea of the novel Utopia. Thank you very much.